Hi, I'm Margaret at Melia Guide, and I've been asked by readers to comment on a recent article that came out on April 1st, 2016 in the New York Times. The author was Gina Kolata, and the title of the article was "Exercise is not the path to strong bones." Being April 1st, I thought maybe this was a bit of an April Fool's. But then I realized when there was rebuttal 5 days later, and I didn't hear anything else on the New York Times, that it wasn't a joke. A couple of things that really bothered me with Gina's article. So there's 3 key points here. She talks about the low change in bone mass with studies that looked at bone through DEXA scores. And that is true in that over the years, many studies looked at bone change just looking at DEXAs. This is what you get done. A bone mineral density test is a DEXA test. And so the more recent way of looking at bone is through a peripheral quantitative computer tomography test, looking at the quality of bone. So many of you have followed my blogs and know that I talk a lot about bone quality and not just bone density, because strength of bone is a combination of both, and exercise impacts the quality of bone more than just the density of bone. So that's really critical. Alex Hutchinson, in his article, his rebuttal in Runner's World, titled, "Is Weight-Bearing Exercise Really Useless for Bone Strength? Contrary to reports, exercise does matter for long-term bone health." And he actually makes a really good point. And he looks at, that 1% that Gina, pushes off as being insignificant, we know is so significant, that 1% loss or 1% gain. So even in a short time span of a year, losing 1% is very significant when you think of the lifetime of your bones. We're looking at losing 1% a year, after you reach peak bone mass. That's somewhere for some people between the ages of 25 and 30. And we know for women who go through menopause, that bone loss even accelerates with menopause. And so maintaining bone or gaining bone at a rate of 1% is so significant. With more recent studies, when we look at the quality of bone, and they look at a meta-analysis and they look at numerous studies, they can find bone changes happening in the order close to 1% in only 13 weeks. So that's super exciting. So that's looking at number 1, that the difference between bone density and bone quality and how it's measured. Now, Gina also talks about drugs in her article, the pharmaceuticals, and she talks about very strong pharmaceuticals, the brand name being Forteo, where it's one she doesn't mention, but yes, it is a very strong bone builder, but it is also very expensive, in the order of, in Canada, $4,000 a month. It's a daily injection. It's something that's done for 18 months to 2 years, and then followed up with a bisphosphonate, which is another pharmaceutical that she blows off in her article. And for some people, these drugs are important, but for most people, they're not necessary, and they come with numerous side effects. Unlike exercise, that the only side effects are positive. Now, Alex brings up a good point in his article in regards to the differences of exercise. So not all exercise is created equal. Cyclists don't have as good bones as runners. We know that distance runners don't have as good bones as short distance runners. We know that people that lift heavier have better bones than that people that do lighter endurance type lifting. And so we have to look beyond just, exercise as one big, term, but what type of exercise, how intense that exercise is, how appropriate it is for you, the intelligence of the exercise that's chosen. And so that's why within the Exercise for Better Bones, I cover the flexibility in a safe and effective way. I cover balance exercises, strength exercises, and I cover all the different cardiovascular choices you have based on your fracture risk. So we're not all created equal. The challenge that, the 60-year-old that walks into my clinic hasn't exercised in a year, her challenge level is going to be so very different than the 45-year-old who's, coming off of doing 10Ks and looking to build her upper body strength and build bone through her spine. So, when I see articles like what came up in the New York Times, it just really frustrates me, because I get people going, well, should I still exercise? Is exercise still helpful? Absolutely it is, because exercise is what's going to make it the difference between growing old with good quality of life. It's going to be making the difference of, I can go on a holiday, I can easily pick up my bags, I'm, pain-free, I'm enjoying life, I, don't worry about how I, interact with my grandchildren, I'm not thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to break another bone. Exercise is going to make a difference in your life beyond just, that 1%. And that 1% is so very important. So that's all I'm going to rant on today. So thank you for tuning in. Margaret from Miller Guide.